As usual, let's start with cells, which are single color only. But looking at the board, there's none. However, there is a color which can only be seen in a particular row or in a particular column. In this case, red here can be found only on the fourth row. So we cross out other colors in that row. Then light blue can also be seen in column 6. So we cross out other colors in that column. Then with that we have a single color red there. So we put our first cat there. Then we cross out column. The row has been crossed out already. We cross out adjacent cells. Then with that we have a resulting single color blue. We place our second cat there. We cross out the row, then we cross out the adjacent cells. Then we could see here that purple here. Now we can cross out a potentially adjacent cell. So wherever we will place our cat in the purple cell, that crossed out cell will always be adjacent. Same with the dark green color here. We can cross out that cell because wherever we go, or wherever we place our cat in the dark green, that cell will always be an adjacent cell. Then on the first column, you can see that we can find only pink colors. Therefore, our pink cat would be there. So we cross out pink cells in other columns. Like that. Then we could see that on the last two columns, we could in those two columns we could find only in those two columns that we could find dark green and gold. So we cross out other colors in those two columns, and with that we have a resulting uncrossed pink here. Nice. So we place our cat there. Then we cross out the column, we cross out adjacent cells. Then we find our next cat. Okay. Alright, so I've seen it on the second, on the third, and on the fourth column. So that's 3 columns in total. In those 3 columns, can we find brown, light green, and purple? So we cross out other colors in those 3 columns. With that, we have a resulting 3 yellow on the 5th column, wherever we will put our yellow cat. Okay, this one here will be an adjacent set. So with that, we have purple only in one row now, so we cross out other colors in that row because our purple cat will be placed there. And then, okay, so I found it on the second to the last column. Only dark green is uncrossed, so we place our cat there. We cross out the column, then we cross out adjacent cells. And then, okay, so we need to identify where we would be putting our next cat. It's very crucial that we don't commit a mistake here. So definitely violet will be there. So we cross out the adjacent cells, we cross out column, we cross out the row.
Excellent.
Brown cat there. Then that leaves us here for our green cat.
Amazing.
Then yellow cat there,
Unbelievable.
and then gold cat.
Unbelievable.